my channel. For today's junk journal with me, we are going to be doing day 5 of the Junk Journal January challenge. And today in the collaboration, we are over with Mitz at My Life Mitz. So be sure to check out her video. It will be in the playlist, which is linked down below. Today's prompt is routine, and I'll be honest, this one I was actually really stumped with. I thought it was a good prompt at the time when I made them, but then when I came to sit down and create, I actually thought, you know what? I've got no idea what to do. And so I was chatting to my good friend Pamela over at Pam Journals, and she suggested something that sounded so chaotic, but at the same time I was like, that's a great idea, I've got to try that. So she mentioned like journaling routines, and obviously the routine of the order of things you do in your journal, so like adding the paint, adding your writing, etc. And obviously we all kind of have a formula that we use, so you might do your background first, then you start adding your ephemera, and then you do your quote, etc. And it's quite a routine. And she said, why don't you do it backwards? So whatever you do last, do that first. And I was like, that's a fantastic idea, I've got to try it. I was a little bit nervous starting out because obviously adding my quote is like the last thing I do, and it felt really strange adding it to the page first. So it was really interesting to figure out how I was going to lay things out, knowing that I was going to be coming in with other things. So adding this, knowing that I had to think about where my collage might be going, things like that. But it was a really interesting way to mix up my junk journaling, and I had a really good time with it. And to be honest, this is actually one of the favourite pages that I've created in a while in my journals, I must say. I really loved how it turned out. I don't know if it was just because I like let loose and had fun with the process of it. It was something a bit different, so I didn't necessarily do like a different style. I definitely did what I like to do. I just did it in reverse. So here I am adding my writing and my quote first. So I'm using my favourite pen. This is a Tombow Fudaneschi, I think it's pronounced. Absolutely love that pen, and I just did a Morgan Harper Nichols quote. Love her poetry and her artwork as well. If you're not familiar with Morgan Harper Nichols, definitely check her out over on Instagram. She shares some amazing like words and art and poetry and everything. So yeah, definitely recommend checking her out. Then I came in and added my details, which again, it just felt so strange adding these small details right at the beginning. So I decided to come in with my trusty white pen that I normally add my little like sparkles on at the end of my journal page, and I decided to kind of make them as if they were like background elements. So I was thinking about how I could almost twist the way that I normally add details. So I used my white pen over the brown paper, and then my brown pen, which this is also a uni pin, fine liner over the beige like book paper tone, just to create that contrast, because obviously the white pen wasn't going to show up on the book page, and I really liked how that looked. I then decided to come in with this Neo colour that I've used in a couple of journal pages previously. Now these, I've had them for a good while and I just haven't used them in my journal, so I wanted to start using them, and I just added some really messy scribbles. Wasn't really thinking about it, just wanted to start adding some more interest to my detail layer and making it a background layer. Next up was my foreground image, which again, I was feeling really strange about adding my image now, but it's kind of in the middle of the page now, so it was making a bit more sense than just straight up adding the last bit to the page. And I picked out just a fussy cut floral like botanical image, and I kept it just fairly neutral with the white flowers for this page, because I wanted to come in the next layer with my washi tape and add some colour. Now I just kind of picked the washi tapes that spoke to me, the ones that stood out and I liked. So I used different colours and patterns of washi tape. This one here, for example, is one by Job's Journal. I absolutely love the little florals and ledger paper that's on this one. So I added that one to the page here, and I'm kind of overlapping it with the page on the other side, because even though these are kind of separate pages, I still wanted a way, even in a small way, to just kind of connect some of these journal pages, because they do have the similar colour stories, and so I wasn't afraid to just kind of have the washi tape running over slightly onto the other page. It just adds a little bit of cohesiveness and brings everything together. And I also love the look of stacking the washi tapes up and using different thicknesses as well. So this one's quite a thin washi tape. I was even like overlapping it and folding it up onto the page behind. Then I decided to come in with some stamping. So I'm not quite sure why I picked this stamp. I think I just wanted something that was quite subtle and was adding almost detailing, but with my stamping. That's probably where I was going with that one, just to add some little bits of interest in the background. And then I came in with these number stamps that I've been loving using. I think they're just really versatile to use on my page, and I was just deciding where I wanted to put the date, and the bottom right hand corner just had a gap that I thought would work really nicely with the date. So I stamped 0501 because I did 05 for the prompt day, and then it just looked a little bit bare, so I went in with 01, so 5th of January. And I love this little format of doing them in like a little square rectangle. And that was pretty much everything that I added for the stamping and washi tape layer. I didn't want to add too much because I knew that I had a couple of layers coming up with the collage and the painting that I knew would be a little bit more involved, so I wanted to make sure that I still had space on the page to be adding those. I came in first with some coffee just to stain some of these book pages and help things blend in. Now the thing when I'm adding this over the top is I had to be really careful, obviously not to make the pen that I'd written the quote with bleed, because I hadn't used a waterproof pen, which in hindsight I probably should have used a waterproof pen, but anyway, I made it work and I just worked around it, added some splotches and some bits and pieces here and there just to work it into the page, and I don't think it turned out too badly actually. You maybe wouldn't necessarily know that this was added after the fact, but it managed to blend it all together. And then after that I came in with some white paint. Again, this was actually really great to start bringing some of these layers that I'd added together, start to make things a little bit more joined up. And I wasn't too worried about covering up some of the things that I'd already done. So for example, the white dots that I'd made, I pretty much covered them up there with the white paint, but I just wanted to add some more like patchy, like junk journal-y feel to the page. Lastly was base collage, and I had to sit for a minute and think about what I actually wanted to do to add base collage to this page, because it's kind of difficult once there's all stuff on the page. I don't want to cover it all up. So I stuck to the left hand side that had more negative space, and I opted for things that were a little bit more translucent. So by adding these layers of tissue paper, I was still able to add my base collage, but at the same time I could still have some of the words and details that were underneath peeking through, and I'm pretty pleased with how this turned out actually, considering it was journaling backwards, journaling in reverse. I don't think it turned out too badly. So I'd love to know what you decided to do for this prompt of routine. As always, thank you so much for joining me today for this journal with me. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow for day 6 of the Junk Journal January challenge. Bye guys.